What about the next book?
Switch gears to DC.
Yeah, Batman or JL next.
Well, I didn't like either one of them, so you can pick.
Oh, we're gonna be fighting all night.
Yay! Conflict is good.
Strife. I'd say
Let's just do Justice League.
that was actually what I was gonna go for. What? Flash lives out the plot of Gravity.
Should we talk first about how they pledge continuity and then completely screw up the continuity at the end of the book for their universe, or should we talk about how boring Cyborg is?
Hey, don't mock Vic Stone. He is one of the best.
You're an old school Teen Titans fan, aren't you?
I am very much an old school Teen Titans fan.
I was about to say, I could think both of you are.
Which is why I don't like Victor Stone in this comic book.
Have you? Okay, I could tangent it. I'd say he's better here than in the Cyborg title. Holy crap!
Well, yeah, that's not hard. But anyway.
Anywho, so I'm gonna let you lead on this because you made a couple of claims there that I didn't really follow. So I want you to explain your points.
So, Batman, in case you didn't know, Kaitlyn, since you're not reading,
assume I don't.
He is currently engaged to Catwoman to be married, and they're making a big deal about them staying true to each other and not giving into temptations and blah, blah, blah. And we'll cover that in the Batman issue.
Yeah.
But at the end of this Justice League issue, he willingly makes out with Green Lantern. Willingly makes out with her.
Which Green Lantern is that?
I really wish I could say Guy Gardner, but no, it's not Guy Gardner.
It's the Latina one, right?
Yeah, Jessica Cruz.
Yeah, that's her name.
One of the things that I've liked about Rebirth so far is that everything ties together in this neat little bow for the most part, and they don't make gaffes like this. Now, you could try saying, oh, this Justice League comic takes place, before the Batman issue. Continuity-wise, it doesn't. So they screwed it up. Why would he kiss her when the same day I could go buy this issue of Batman where he almost kisses Wonder Woman and says, no, I can't do that because I have to stay true to Selina. And at the end of the Batman issue, he's like, I was almost bad, but I wasn't. And she's like, oh, just be better. And then I read Justice League and he's kissing Green Lantern. What kind of continuity is that?
In his defense, Jessica Cruz is like one of the best DC characters right now. On the record, by the way,
but if
viewers, Jessica Cruz, amazing.
But for you're preaching continuity, you can't make that big of a gaffe. You can't do it.
What do you mean by preaching continuity, by the way?
Ever since Rebirth started, one of Jeff Johns' biggest initiatives was that they were going to connect the universe and make it more tighter so people could feel like they're reading the ongoing stories linear and that all of the characters are sharing the same universe at the same time.
All right, that makes sense. It always can be kind of confusing when a team-up book is taking place in, say, the midsummer when the solo book for one of those characters is in the midwinter, basically.
They said they weren't going to do that anymore, and that's one of the things I liked. I like feeling like I'm reading a microcosm of a bigger universe, and if I pick up this Superman book, then I'm going to there's going to be events alluded to that were in this comic book, and I can pick that, and it feels like you're reading something that was actually planned out and they put some time and effort into. When you see these kinds of things, it really sticks with me. I don't like that. If you're telling me that you're going to give me this universe that's so interconnected, then give me that. Don't do these kinds of things. You can't have a character acting a certain way in a certain book and another way in another book and tell me that it's all the same universe, especially when it's freaking Batman, who I don't like already.
Man, we should have talked about this more back before I read Batman Annual 2. Because we would have agreed a lot with that, but I'm a born again Batman fan, unfortunately.
Just as a Teen Titans Cyborg fan, I've never liked him on Justice League, so that's just a personal thing. So you go ahead, tell me why you like Justice League.
I will say, in terms of the the tight universe idea, it's funny because I've actually kind of argued in favor of bringing back a lot of characters, visual gag, who. So I guess in a way I was arguing for more of a bloated universe, but visual gag. Anywho, I'm. It did bother me at first, I will agree, but it was also so weirdly put together that I kind of assumed that it was like, oh, all's not as it appears. And so I was kind of thinking, there's one character who's been in these recent issues who didn't show up at all, and that was the fan.
What?
Okay, so, and speaking of having prior reading, so Christopher Priest apparently realized, like, I don't have a whole lot of time on this book. I'm gonna do some crazy shit.
Okay.
And so he sort of wrote a mini version of The Watchmen. And then he was like, hey, toxic comic book fans who complain a lot. I didn't feel like it was a call out of like everyone who likes comics, but people who I won't name, but you probably know who I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is live. There's this character called the Fan who is like he worked on the Watchtower. He helped build it. He was either a LexCorp or Wayne Enterprises. Take your pick of character corporation. And he essentially decided that he was going to, with the bad press that the Justice League was getting because, okay, another prior reading moment, a nun was killed by a terrorist who stole Wonder Woman's sword, and it was kind of like a huge cluster of like Batman making poor plans, like making imperfect plans, like a SWAT team coming in at the same time, confusing everything with like flashbang grenades and everything. And so like a terrorist got a hold of Wonder Woman's sword and stabbed a hostage, and that was recorded somehow. And like in the world kind of, it's like, I don't know about this whole Justice League thing.
All right.
And so the Fan was like, okay, I'm gonna make them look better by making them do what I would think they should do. So, like, dress up as Batman and use a batarang to assassinate a congresswoman. And
so the Fan, as in like a fan of the Justice League.
Yeah, they just call him the Fan. He doesn't actually have a name, like a pithy supervillain title. I won't say the Fan's a great name, but I kind of like the directness of that metaphor.
Yeah, I get it. It's just I'm not sure that the windy mountain road we needed it to take to get there was worth it.
That's fair. But point being, he's been dressing up as other Justice Leaguers, including like Hal Jordan. And so it's entirely possible that somehow he's got face-changing technology or whatever that makes him look like Jessica Cruz. That would be that leads to a lot of questions. Or maybe he's impersonating Bruce during all this. So I kind of assumed it was through his manipulation somehow, or just something's not how it seems. So I didn't really get bothered by the continuity confusion there.
So it's not an Occam's razor situation. You think there's something else going on. So the simplest solution would be there's a continuity error, and that's Batman. The not simple solution is either some sort of impersonation or some sort of thing that we don't understand yet. So you think it's the latter.
Yeah.
Jeremy thinks it's the former. Okay.
But to, I guess, and argue in favor of this book beyond that one plot point, it's kind of the Flash kind of lives out the plot of Gravity.
Okay.
And it's surprisingly tense. And
like he's in space?
Yeah, in a spacesuit, and super speed doesn't really help when there's no atmosphere or normal gravity. So he's trying to save this LexCorp employee who was trying to dock with a Watchtower for undisclosed reasons.
Hold on, mystery. I need to back up for 1 second. Is the Watchtower what is that?
Oh, it's the Justice League headquarters, and it orbits the Earth. It's like a satellite, and it's where the Justice League meet up to plan and do Justice League things.
Okay, I'm all caught up. Well, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not caught up. Continue.
It's their
So we
super
got-
super secret, not so secret base.
I was about to say, how secret can something be if it's in the freaking atmosphere? But all right.
Um, but yeah, so there's like a LexCorp employee who, for whatever reason, was trying to dock with the Watchtower, and something goes wrong because the fan who worked on the Watchtower completely sabotaged it, and so like the docking process went wrong, and then it ends up with someone in the spacesuit floating through the void of space. The Flash is like, well, I can't. The Flash is the only one on the Watchtower at this point. For the rest of the team were scattered because the Watchtower is a teleporter, and the fan was like, okay, we're gonna send you in random places. And so the Flash was only on the Watchtower because he wasn't really involved with the conflict, and so he's trying to save the LexCorp employee, and it goes through like a lot of like pseudo scientific explanations. I say pseudo because it's like comic books, so like you're already kind of like playing with supernatural forces as to like why this isn't going to work. So the Flash is trying to use different like little tricks he can do from inside the spacesuit to save this person.
He's talking to himself like Mark Watney in The Martian.
Yeah, except in his thought captions, he's not saying all of it, so not quite, I suppose. But I will admit that this is like this whole story does kind of feel like some digression from the over.
Is this this Flash story? Because that actually does legitimately sound interesting to me because I do like the Flash. Is that is that the B story? Is it a C story? How prominent is that part of the book?
It's pretty much the A story, and it does kind of like override all the other political stuff and the fan stuff. That's the B story is mostly just the Justice League dealing with the internal conflicts they have at the moment.
Because of course.
Yeah, because of all the stuff with the fan and the political issues, and like everyone's not sure if Batman can lead the team anymore, and so they're all telling, "Hey, Superman, you're closest to him. You talk to him about this." And Superman's like, "I don't want to do this," and they're like, "Well, we can't do this.
It's freaking Batman. I don't want to go tell Batman he sucks as a leader. You do it. No, you do it. I drew the short straw. No, you drew the short straw."
And so that's kind of the main. There's also like a subplot about the other Green Lantern, Simon Baz, who's like, "Why did Superman ask me to lunch? That sounds intimidating. Has he ever gone to lunch with you guys before?" And it's pretty funny.
All right.
Yeah, I guess that's my argument in favor of Justice League number 38.
Like I said, that Flash story does legitimately sound kind of interesting to me because I do like space stuff, and I quite thoroughly enjoyed Gravity, and I'm assuming that this doesn't end with a terrible, you should find a reason for living besides other people moralizing that movie ended in. That kind of ruined it for me, so.
With Batman making out with Green Lantern.
But maybe Occam's razor isn't in effect. It's technically always in effect. Maybe it's not the simplest explanation. This is comic books we're talking about.
And they're ridiculous. All right. I'm actually... Say what?
For this one, until the next issue, I'm going by what my eyes saw. My eyes didn't like it.
All right, fair enough.
That's fair.
All right. That's, like I said, I like that idea of the Flash story. How much is that? That's just a single regular issue. So how much are DC issues now? Are they still $2.99 or are they $3?
They're $2.99 if they print multiple times a month, like the Justice League does.
Okay.
They're $3.99 if they're a one-off a month, like Deathstroke, Green Arrow.
All right. That Flash story sounds interesting enough that I might spend $3 on it, but I don't think it would be something that would be enough to make me add to the hold. So you both kind of won in that one because it all just sounds too ridiculous. I mean, like, I know comic books, and that was a lot of explaining to do.
It is like part 5 or 4 or 5 in the story, so there's. I'm kind of crazy about this story because it's been really good for the most part. So I was like, oh, I got to talk about this and this and this, but even though that's not really not necessary to this, but so I was kind of I'll cop to gushing just a little bit.
We all have our biases, and I mean, anyone who tries to say a critic is unbiased is wrong, because that's the way it is. You try to go in with as much of an open mind as possible, but we all have the things we like, and we all have the things we don't like. Like, the continuity stuff doesn't bother you that much, but it does bother Jeremy, and that's fine. You're allowed to have, we all have our things that set us off or don't set us off. All right, I'm assuming Batman is next.
Yeah.
I am also not a big Batman fan.
I can't get upset about that, because I was there. I was there when I first joined up with BC.
I remember you and Joe had your polarizing Batman reviews. That was amazing. That was some of my favorite stuff you guys did. I thought that was hilarious.
That was a lot of fun. I do miss doing those.
Hey, Joe.
Yes, hi, Joe.
Joe.
We miss you.
You made a bat lever out of me. Well, you and Tom King.
Fair enough. Who would like to go on? Is this a book that you actually like, Josh, or is this going to be like both of you trying to help me save my money here?
I liked it, but not. I recommended it in my review, like, hey, feel free to buy this. It's, you know, when someone says a sequel is like, oh, it's just more of this.
Mm-hmm.
You could argue that most comics are like that, but this is really that. This is like, okay, this is kind of just the last issue, but with a conclusion instead of a beginning, which sounds kind of like a stupid way to explain that. But pretty much just the same things happen, except there's an ending to it now.
So does the same things happen in the same order? Because sometimes you can do like the whole, beginning, first act, second act, third act, second act, first act, ending. But is it like 2 lines going like this instead of a pyramid?
It's like...
Or is there not even that much structure?
There's not a lot of structure.
That's not good.
It's like mostly a second, like the previous issue is like a little bit of first act, second act. This issue is like second act, a little bit of a third act.
All right.
Also, my feed on you guys is still frozen, so I can't really see like visual representation right now, unfortunately.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Like Daredevil, technically right now I am blind.
Oh, sorry.
Just
anyway, so continue. Sell Batman to me, or at least attempt to sell a Batman book that you sort of liked to me.
It's okay, so
or don't sell it if you don't want to. That's fine too.
I'm gonna just leave this up to. I'm just gonna kind of explain it and explain what I like and dislike, so that it won't be so much of a selling as like, hey, here's this. If that sounds cool, go for it. If not, I understand. So there's this character called the Gentleman. Two words, Gentleman.
Oh, yes, I do know about that. Vaguely, I know what that character is.
That's kind of funny because I had no idea who this guy was before I read it.
Didn't they make a joke about the Gentleman during Lego Batman, or am I thinking of a different person?
I remember the Condiment King. I remember a lot of the Condiment King.
I think they named off a whole bunch of really obscure Batman villains, and I feel like the Gentleman might have been one of them. And I looked it up because of that movie.
That was really cool. Just like, hey, that's Catman back there. I really like Catman because I read Gail Simone's Secret Six. Catman's in this movie. That's really cool.
Anyway,
so
let's work on the assumption I don't actually know what the Gentleman is. Can you briefly summarize him?
Well, he's only really in the context of like the stories, so it's pretty easy to explain. He's like this kind of he is in a different universe where all of mankind's sins manifest as demons, and he is the sole person fighting it off for eternity. And the Justice League somehow wound up in this realm at some point down the line in like non-specific past. And Batman and Wonder Woman both promised to give him a day off someday. And it becomes pretty clear, but for some reason they don't really divulge it till the end of the first issue. Time flows differently in this dimension.
Because,
so,
of course.
One day on this Earth is like literal decades over there. But there's a quirk of the realm where people don't age. And so Batman and Wonder Woman give him his day off. He comes over here, hangs out with Catwoman. Meanwhile, Batman and Wonder Woman are fighting endlessly against these demons.
Question. Do they know about this time displacement when they go in for the day off, or is it a thing they find out later?
No, they don't figure it out till later. And like,
well, that's a dick move.
Yeah, the gentleman didn't divulge it to him. It was kind of like, you didn't ask me no questions, I'll tell you no lies. So Selena figures out at the end of the last issue, gets mad. So this issue, she's trying to force him to go back and bring them. He's like, but I'm really enjoying not fighting demons endlessly right now, and also I have a wife, and I want to see her. And so meanwhile, so the end of the last issue was that possible kiss between Bruce and Diana. At the beginning of this issue, it's like, oh, can't do that because Bruce has Catwoman, Wonder Woman has Chris Pine. I mean, Steve Trevor. So.
Bravo! That was awesome. Continue.
So she's. So they're like, okay, we won't do this. But what kind of made it work for me and why I ended up ruling in its favor was because the interactions between Batman and Wonder Woman are just so charming. Like, that's kind of what sold me in the last issue too, and why I enjoyed it. I was like, I liked the last issue more because I didn't know where the story was going in a way. And here it's like, okay, you've kind of played all your cards, so we're just going to see how this resolves. And even though I know how it's going to resolve, but it's still fun just because Wonder Woman and Batman play off each other really well. Tom King is really good at like getting Batman to interact, like have fun interactions with other characters, and that's why he kind of sold me on this character. It's just like, he's human, he's flawed, he's not the end all be all. I'm the Batman. I can do anything. He's actually can crack a smile every once in a while. Like when
I'm no more of the I'm the goddamn Batman. This Batman has a sense of humor? Oh, well, that's a weird thing to hear.
Yeah, I really hated that idea of the Batman, but here he can joke. Like Wonder Woman and Catwoman make fun of this knight armor he puts on to fight the demons.
Jeremy, I know your video feed is frozen, but you missed Jeremy rolling his eyes so hard they almost fell out of his skull, and it was very entertaining.
At least by my measure, he's not just the goddamn Batman anymore. But he like, they make fun of his knight armor, and he actually kind of has a sense of humor about it. So that's why it worked for me. It's just kind of fun watching. It's like when two actors are like in a movie, and you just can kind of enjoy just them playing off of each other. That's kind of what this is. It's just like, okay, they're kind of getting along, and it's fun. Okay.
Jeremy? Mr. Batman hater, Mr. I'm rolling my eyes so hard over there?
My biggest problem with Batman is that it doesn't seem like there's a situation they could put him in that he can't get out of, even though he's just a dude.
Okay.
Eventually that would catch up to somebody. I don't care who you are, how smart you are, how much money you have. I will agree that him and Wonder Woman playing off each other is really cool. I more enjoyed Diana than Bruce. I believed her in the action more, and I will also say that I think it's Joelle Jones, or is it Jolene Jones? I don't know how to say her name. I'm really bad with names, but her art is amazing.
Okay.
It was really good.
Yeah, she's a great artist. She did Lady Killer for Dark Horse before.
Oh yeah, I read the first issue of that a million years ago when I was reading comics.
Yeah, so if you're a fan of her art, definitely pick the book up. Tom King's Batman run's been really hit or miss for me. The 2 issues previous to this Wonder Woman story were amazing.
Yes.
those two issues were about Bruce and Selina going out on a double date with Clark and Lois, and there wasn't any superheroics involved, and it was amazing. And
All right.
This is the complete opposite of that, with Batman teaming up with Wonder Woman, like you said, fighting these endless hordes. It's like the third act of a DC movie. They're just throwing things at us. Background.
Instead of CGI fire and smoke, we have drawn fire and smoke.
Yeah, so I mean, I just get tired of like them. Oh,
Stick
Bruce,
to what you're good at, DC.
Bruce is the ultimate malleable character. We can just make him do whatever we want. Oh, now he's cracking jokes and smiling. Oh, now he's the goddamn Batman. Oh, now he cares about Selina. Oh, now he doesn't care. I'm tired of Batman being the jack of all trades character that can literally do anything. I'm tired of it. So for the art and the interplay between Bruce and Diana, I would say it's okay to purchase, especially if you've been reading Batman. This would definitely not be an issue I would just hand somebody.
What about this issue combined with the previous issue, since this is one main story arc?
I would go back to and give them the ones with the double date.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that was infinitely better. That was also what sold me on Batman again. I was like, this is amazing. Batman's really mad about having to dress up like Superman.
All right.
I play baseball, so
I could hit. You see, you don't understand. At a certain point, if he just throws it so fast, the ball's just going to burst into flames. At that point, it doesn't count anymore if it's a strike.
So, my old record, but Kaitlyn, if you came in, I would hand you a different issue of Batman.
I'd actually even hand you the previous issue of this one, because there's more of that playing around in there. It's kind of one more note about this and why it doesn't work that well. It's because, man, I'm also rethinking my score. I'm like, man, I really should have kicked this down a couple of points. But the demons, they're not even actually. There's a certain point where they're not even a thing.
They're not that threatening.
Yeah, it's like one of those stories where
they're the putties from Power Rangers.
Pretty much, because it's just like, okay, the characters are just talking. The demons don't really matter. Like, there's no tension because you don't really perceive them as a threat.
That's not good.
And you know what?
We're supposed to care. I assume Selina is working pretty desperately to get them out of this situation, because it sounds, on paper, it sounds like a dire situation. We're talking a decade of fighting endless hordes of demons. That sounds like it should be perilous, and the fact that you're telling me that it's not, that's a big problem.
Like they do try to pay some lip service to the idea of, oh, I can't keep going on. You have to. Like both Bruce and Diana have a moment like that, but you don't really feel it because you're not really seeing the fighting. You're not seeing the horrific demons. Especially when like a lot of moments are just kind of like a joke. Like at one point, Wonder Woman is like, there's a demon on top of Batman, and Wonder Woman's just like taking like washing her hair in a waterfall and doesn't even notice that Batman's underneath. It's like, oh, that's a problem. Cut hand. Oh, you're free, Bruce. So it's hard to go from there to I can't keep going.
Just read Wonder Woman instead.
Not James Robinson's Wonder Woman though. Oh no. Oh no.